Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, and welcome to Mindful Movement with AARP Alabama. I am your host, Marcia Curry, and today's session is with Rebecca Impello, and she is a certified yoga instructor and has been teaching yoga for more than 20 years. So we're glad to have you this morning. We want to remind you that AARP empowers people to have choose how they live as they age. AARP is a nonpartisan 501c4 organization that has over 420,000 members in Alabama. AARP's role is to advocate for those 50 plus and their families. AARP Alabama is committed to offering opportunities for people to stay engaged from your home. The Mindful Mover series provides an opportunity for you to keep moving in the safety of your own home. All right, Becca, what do you have for us today?
Good morning, Margie. Happy to be here. Well, last 2 weeks ago for our mindful movement with yoga, we did a focus on the neck and the shoulders, if you may remember. So this week I thought we'd do more of a focus on the low back. So,
Oh,
so today we are going to just explore one position that we don't often do. So we'll start seated in our chair. So any chair, sturdy kitchen chair, dining room chair would work. We'll do a little bit of standing and we'll use the chair. And then I'm going to give you the option to get down either on the floor, or you could lie down on your bed or a couch if you have it handy, or you could skip that part. If you don't feel like getting down on the floor, you could just stay in the chair and sort of wrap it up there. So that's the plan today, to do some stuff for the lower back with our movement.
can't wait. Get ready for that. Folks, remember, I always check with your physician before you begin any exercise routine that you might want to check with them and see how it is. So, all right, Becca, let's get started.
All right, very good. And just to reiterate what Margie said, these practices are generally, good for your body and safe to practice, especially if you're being mindful and you're paying attention to what you're doing and how your body is responding. Just remember that you can always skip something that doesn't seem right for you, make your movements smaller, slower, or a little bit different if that seems to be what your body is calling for, right? You don't have to look exactly like my movements. I wouldn't expect that. So take good care of yourself and turn on that mindfulness so that you can really feel how your body is responding to our practices here. All right, so let's just start in our chair. Sit tall. We're going to do just a little bit of breathing to get us warmed up and get us attending and aware of our bodies. So maybe close your eyes if you'd like. Maybe place a hand on your heart, right on your chest or your breastbone. Place another hand right on your belly. And I want you just to take a couple of slow, deep breath. See if you can feel both hands move a little bit as you breathe in and as you breathe out, right? So it could be that the belly moves first and then the chest, or it could be the opposite, or maybe they're both sort of expanding, moving at the same time, right? Any of those options is just fine. I just want you to see if you can feel your breath in your body as you take a slow, deep breath in and a slow, complete exhale out. Sometimes it's easier to breathe into the nose and out through the mouth. So if that seems to help you get a little more tuned into your breath, feel free to do it that way. Just 3 more breaths here. 3 more big breaths into the body. Last one. Now, of course, we're going to continue to breathe as we practice. See if you can breathe mostly in and out through the nose. All right. Let's start with just some warming up for the body. Start with some shoulder rolls. Bring those shoulders up towards the ears and then roll them back and down a few times. I like to do this with my breathing. In fact, I take an inhale and bring the shoulders forward and up. And then on the exhale, I squeeze them back and draw them down. 2 more times. 1 more. All right, let's just turn the head gently side to side a few times. So while we're going to focus on the lower back, by all means, our whole body is connected. So, we don't ever just work on one thing in isolation. All right, now let your arms drop down to your sides. Give those fingers a spread. Take a nice sweep up with the arms as high as you can go. And then exhale, bring them back down. All right, so sit tall. Start to try to lift the sides of your waist, lift your rib cage, even try to lift that belly as you breathe in and reach up. Let everything soften a bit as you exhale and the arms drop down. 3 more of these reaches. Sit tall. Try to get as much length up through the crown of the head as you can, making that spine nice and tall. Last one. All right, now you might put your hands on your hips or your pelvis for this next one. I want you to start some movement where you rock back on your buttocks and then you rock forward towards your thighs, right? So this movement might be small for you. It might be big. It's a little hard to see what I'm doing, I realize, from this position. I'll just show you real quickly from the side. I'm tilting forward. This puts a little arch in my back, and then I'm gently rounding back. So like I said, if this one feels like it's maybe a little iffy for you, especially in seated, make it a smaller movement. Just want you mainly to get aware of your low back and your pelvis. Start to tune in with how it feels today. Is there tightness? Is there stiffness or soreness? How do these movements make you feel? Does that feel good to move that way, or do you feel a little cautious? Now let's see if we can make a more of a circular motion. That was just forward and back. Now I want you to sort of shift your weight around the bottom of your pelvis, from sitting bone to sitting bone, a little bit forward onto the thighs, a little bit back onto the tailbone. And again, you're making this circular motion just as small or as big as feels right for you. We're doing this to warm up, to get aware. Let's switch directions and take that circling of the pelvis, and really we're moving the rib cage and the belly as well, of course, in the other direction. All right. Good. Come back to center. Now we're going to do just a little gentle twisting again to warm up those muscles around the belly and around the low back. So hands together at the heart. I like to put a little press into those hands so I get a little activation of muscles both in the arms, the chest, and it radiates over into the belly. All right. And so let's exhale and turn. Inhale and bring it back to center. Sit nice and tall. Exhale. And turn back to center. Exhale, turn. Good. Keep going. Steady with the breath. Slow and controlled. Good. Now we're going to take it into that twist and stay. So exhale and turn. And then see about bringing your hands to help hold you in position, maybe to gently stretch you a little bit further. So that front hand can come across to the opposite knee. The other hand might hold on to the chair behind you or be down on the seat of the chair behind your hip, or even reach back towards the wall if you prefer. Take a few breaths here. You can feel the sensation, the physical shape of that twist, of that spiral in your body. Then bring it back to center. Take a deep breath in, sit up tall. And then go the other way. Hold in the twist on this side. Notice if you feel any big differences. Sometimes it's a whole lot easier to twist in one direction than it is the other direction. Take a few breaths here. Bring it back around to the front now. Again, pause a moment. See if you can, feel the effect of that twisting. Now this next one's going to involve folding or bending forward and then coming back up tall, right? So we're folding right at the tops of the thighs. It's okay to take the knees a little wider apart like I've done, or maybe even want them wider apart. And we're just trying to fold at that crease of the hips. Keeping that back nice and straight, nice and flat. Now, if you wanted to put a little more strengthening work into this for your body, you feel safe doing that, lift your hands. Either place them here at the heart instead of on your thighs, or place them out to the sides. Or you could even take them overhead as you're doing this lean forward, right? So this just adds a little more load, and we're warming up or using those muscles in our low back to do this folding. Okay, we're just doing 3 more. Remember, you can change that arm position. Feel free to bring them back down, lump them lower if you started out with them high and you're starting to get tired. Last one. Good. And then hands on those knees. Just gently round the shoulders, the head. And then roll those shoulders and sit back up tall. Roll the shoulders back. And then hands towards the knees, a gentle rounding. Now, if you've been advised to not round your spine and sitting, then please skip this one. If you just don't feel like this is a good idea, we're going to do one in a moment when we stand up. That's pretty, universally good for everybody. Last 2 of these, gentle rounding of the spine, straightening and arching. It's like doing a little cat-cow here seated in the chair. All right, now let's go ahead and stand up. We're just going to come out of that chair. We're going to actually still continue to use the chair. We want to place the hands in the seat of the chair so we make like a tabletop, right? And we can get our back relatively flat or parallel to the ground. Now, if you prefer to go down to the floor already, you can go down and you can do this in hands and knees if you want to. All right, so hands on the chair or on the floor, feet a little bit back so they're underneath your hips. Here's where we can do our cat and cow. That's more, like our traditional yoga cat and cow. And like I said, a little more universally accessible and safe. So you're flattening your back with as much arch as feels comfortable, lifting your tail. It's good to bend your knees to get there. And then rounding your back, tucking the tail down, pushing the chair or the floor away. Let's go back and forth with this a couple more times. Okay, about 3 more. Last one. Good. Now come to more of a flat back than rounded. Knees soft. We're going to do a little more twisting here. Push into one hand and pull with the other. It could be a bent elbow or it could be a straight arm that reaches up. And then bring it back down to face the floor again and go the other way. If you're standing, you're going to want to just naturally let your knees, bend and straighten. One knee will tend to want to bend as you take that shift, and the other one will sort of naturally straighten. Right? If you're in hands and knees doing this, then both knees are going to stay bent because you're in hands and knees, so you don't have to worry about that too much. All right, do a couple more of these. One more to each side. Good. All right. Now let's take 1 foot forward and 1 leg back. And again, you could be on the floor for this, or you could come up and use your chair if you want to. And we're just going to bend that front knee, push back through that back leg, trying to straighten out through that straighten out through that knee and press down with that heel. Lift the belly, lift up through the chest. And then we'll try and straighten that front leg a little bit. It may or may not get all the way straight, so it really will depend on your hamstring flexibility. But see if you can straighten it some. And then you may decide that's enough and you're staying right here. Or you may be able to fold that body down a little further, a little closer to the leg or a little closer to the chair. See how that feels. And now let's come on up. We're going to take that back foot in and just switch sides. So we've got the other leg back. Switch it out so you got the other leg close to the chair, close to the hands. Push back into that back heel, straightening that knee. Push down into the hands, lift up through the chest. A couple more breaths here. Good. Now straighten that front knee any amount, right? So straighten that front knee if you can, or maybe you keep it a little bit bent, but you're still, working in that direction. Maybe you stay nice and flat and long, or maybe you fold forward. So you've got choices there because we all have a little bit different, bodies. We have different flexibilities, different, just movement capacities in different parts of our body. So work with what you've got. Be mindful and attentive to how it feels. Keep your breath going. Good. All right, now we're going to come back on in, back to our tabletop. Now we're going to do a little bit of strengthening. Then you can go back to stretching or rounding your back into cat anytime you want to if that feels good. All right, let's work on a little strength work training here for our back. Bring your legs closer together, and then we're going to lift one leg up. Maybe at the same time, lift the opposite arm, keeping your back flat. And then drop that hand and leg back down. And then go the other side. Lift the leg, lift the opposite arm. It's okay to do one or the other if both feels like too much. And down. Let's do that again. Opposite arm and leg. And down. Switch sides. And we'll do it one more time on each side. Good. Switch. And down. Good. Now feet come apart. Round it up into cat. Tuck that tail. And this time, I want you to try to keep your rounded shape. So sort of keep that arch up towards the ceiling, that rounded back. And then I want you just to shift your weight. Try shifting it to start with just side to side or right and left. And then try shifting it more of a circle so that you push a little bit further back. Come over to one side, shift a little bit towards the chair, on the other side. Do that again, one more circle. When you shift back, it puts a little more stretch. So if it's too much, you don't have to go that far. Go the circle the other direction a few times. So we're still rounding and then sort of circling our weight over those legs. Good. And then come back to center and flatten it out. Gently lift the chest. Round it. And flatten it. Now, from this flat position, we're going to walk those hands over to one side of the chair. If you're down on hands and knees, you just walk them over to the side. I'm going to walk them over and see if I can just grab hold of this side of the chair. And then just shift the weight back a little bit into the heels. It gives a nice stretch down the side of the body, all the way down to the low back of the hip, perhaps. And then bring it up. And let's walk those hands over to the other side of the chair and push the hips back. Good. And then come back to center. One more time, round it into cat. Flatten it out. Shift that weight back to your heels. Bring the hands to those thighs and come all the way up to standing tall. Roll those shoulders a little bit. All right, now, like I said, we're going to do this last portion of the practice today lying down. Now, if for any reason it's just not in the cards for you to lie down today, you can stay seated in your chair and just see what you can do that's as close to or as similar to what we're doing on the floor as you can, or do anything that we've already done that would feel good. All right, you can also lie down on a couch or a bed and do the movements that you can do in that space. All right, feel free to use your chair if you want to help you come down, and just ease yourself down onto your back. And then just take a moment there, let your spine sort of spread out, feel that contact of the surface underneath you with your body. And let's try just a gentle rocking of the knees from side to side. This is a twisting motion, like we did seated in the chair earlier when we turn side to side. So that's a substitute. This one's a bit gentler or passive than the one sitting upright. Doesn't quite put the taxing or the strain on those abdominal muscles. This one's more about stretching and loosening up in that lower back. So let's just take a couple more times, rotating those knees from side to side. This, by the way, is one of my favorite all-time movements just for keeping a healthy, mobile body and spine. I do this in almost all of the classes that I teach, and I often do it, for myself just when I feel a little stiff or tight and I need to loosen up my lower back. All right, now we're going to just try to stretch that low back a little bit more. See if you can bring one leg towards you. Now you can hold either the back of your leg, the back of your thigh. You can hold the front of that knee. You can even use a strap or a scarf or a towel to maybe make it a little easier to grab hold of that leg. All right, now you can do a couple of things here. You can move that leg back and forth if that's an easy grasp or hold for you to have and for you to make a little movement here. You can also hold it steady if that's better for you. I like to do a combination where I move it back and forth a few times and then hold it steady. Let's take about 3 more breaths with this side. All right, and then let's release it. Let's go back to the rocking of the knees or any kind of gentle twist. If you're seated upright, you could be doing a little bit of turning, or you can hold the twist like we did and take your hand across to the opposite knee in front. All right, and then let's bring the other leg in. Again, you can grab the front of the knee, the back of the thigh, or use a strap or a towel or a scarf or anything that might help you grab hold of that leg a little more comfortably. Try maybe making some movement in and out. Also, remember that you could hold steady, or you could do a combination of those, which is what I'm going to do. Here, I'm going to move my leg in and out another time or two, and I'm going to hold it steady. Right. And then release, both feet back down, rock those knees one more time, side to side. Now remember back when we were seated, we did a little pelvic rocking movement at the beginning. We're going to do that movement again here lying down. All right, so awareness, maybe hands right on the pelvis, the hips. And I want you to tuck the tail and sort of press your back flatter into your, floor or the bed. And then arch the back gently the other way. Drop the tailbone down and just go back and forth. Again, this can be small or big. It's in general a small movement, but everybody's going to have their own variability there. So again, if you're staying up in the chair, you could be doing this pelvic rocking in your upright seated position as well. Okay, just 2 or 3 more times with that pelvic rock. All right, and then just let it be more neutral or natural. Take your feet a little wider, and let's drop the knees to one side. Just sort of drop them out there and reach nice and long through the leg that's on the inside, sort of on the middle there. And then bring the knees back up, let them drop the other way. Give it a little reach through that leg, reach through the knee. If you're in the chair, you can sort of do this at the front edge of the chair and just turn sideways with the knees, letting that one leg in front drop or reach down towards the floor. Of course, you want to pull your belly up and in to stabilize. Let's do this another time or two. You can hold longer if you'd like, or you can keep it a little more dynamic. All right, and then let's bring those feet back closer together. And this last thing that we'll do here before we take just a few moments of rest is to bring both knees in. So again, it could be backs of the thighs or fronts of the knees or a strap or a towel. And again, maybe making some in and out movements. Might even, kind of help this out a little bit with a little rock up of the pelvis. Maybe hold steady, just like with that other, when we did one leg at a time, you had that choice of keeping it moving or holding it steady for the stretch. All right, and then let's bring the feet back down. You can choose to stretch the legs all the way out if you're lying down and that's comfortable. You can keep the knees bent, which is what I'm going to do. And I've actually taken my feet a little wider than my hips and let my knees fall together. Now, if you're staying up in the chair, just go ahead and scooch all the way back. Use the back of the chair for some support there. Closing your eyes is optional. You might take your hands back to your body on your chest and your belly. And just come back into feeling yourself breathe in and out. And just see if you can slow your breathing down a bit here for our last sort of minute or so of time for this morning's practice. Just work on slowing that breath down. One more breath here. Now, if you're still lying down, you're just going to take your time. I want you to rock those knees a few times with the knees bent, and then roll it over to your side. Use your arm to help press yourself up, coming back up to take just a seat. You can just sit where you are on your bed, your couch, the floor, or you can get back up in your chair and just take a moment to check in. Notice how you're feeling in your body, especially through that lower back, that area that we were focused on. What do you notice? Maybe you notice some work that you did, some things that were new or challenging to it. Maybe you feel a little bit, more just aware of that area because you've been doing stuff with it. And hopefully you feel like it's a little more mobile, that it's stretched out a little bit. All right, and then let's finish that practice with one more deep breath in. You can raise those arms up if you want. Bring the hands together, hands at the heart, an expression of gratitude. Let's give thanks to our bodies, especially our lower backs. And thanks to AARP of Alabama for giving us these opportunities for mindful movement together. Thanks for joining us, and I hope we'll see you again every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Becca. Fabulous session. Make you feel really good. Get off the sofa and do some stretching. That's what we need to do.
Feels
We
good.
do have we
Feels
have a survey today, Becca, and we want everybody to let us know what to think about it. So please go out to our survey and give us some thoughts on our program. But we enjoy our mindful movement, and thank you again, Becca. And we look forward to seeing everybody on next Tuesday. Bye. Have a great week.
Bye, everybody.